Hello Orchid friends, welcome back to my channel. Wherever you are, I hope you're having a great day, staying healthy and staying safe. Today we're going to look at my tetraspis C1 orchid. This is a species orchid, and for those of you who live in the US, in Europe, and have grown orchids for a while, I'm sure you're familiar with this orchid. When I first learned about this orchid, I was completely captivated by its charm. And the charm specifically, I mean how it would randomly put out red and white flower petals and sepals. It's just random. You never really know where the red and the white would be. I really just wanted one, and I eventually ended up buying two at two different times, two different occasions that I got the orchid. I got one from Norman's Orchid, which is today's orchid, and then I also have another tetraspis C1, but it's from Orchid by Hausermans here in the US. So this video clip is really about one of them, but what you're seeing right now, it's a video clip of both orchids side by side. And by the way, this video is a collection of video clips of either both of them or just the one from Norman's Orchid, because when this orchid blooms, it would bloom for a good 5 to 6 months. It's summer blooming, so typically it starts blooming in the summertime, and for me it would be, late May, all the way until, mid to late November. So it's quite cool. And each time it would put out a few flowers, and then it would then take a little bit of a break. Typically that break in between flowering in the same season, the same blooming cycle, it would be 1.5 months to 2 months. So 6 to 8 weeks is the kind of the resting period, and then it will continue to elongate to produce more buds to flower for me. So that's the pattern that I see for the two orchids that I have, two tetraspis that I have. And if you also see similar or completely different kinds of blooming frequency or intervals, please leave a comment down in the video and share with us and let us know how your tetraspis C1 blooms in terms of frequencies or intervals in your environment. This orchid is a sequential bloomer. It always keeps its spike for at least 3 years, and every time the spike would elongate, so it does require you to keep the green spikes. As long as it's not yellowing and drying, you need to keep the spike. You don't cut them off just because the flowers are gone. And thankfully my tetraspis have always been really good about keeping its spike and elongating it. So it's now every time it blooms, it would give me multiple flowers. Each flower spike 2 to 3 flowers, and then if I have multiple spike, then it becomes a very festive show. They're both grown in organic media, and it's a mixture of manto clay and hydrocorn. Hydrocorn is the bigger pebble of the two. The ratio is roughly about 1:1. Because these two orchids' roots are not particularly thick, I think it's more on the skinny side. So I did not want to use too many bigger pebbles, because I think too much air space, too much spacing in between inside the medium, inside the container, is not going to help the orchid roots. My experience is that if the roots are skinnier, then the smaller pebbles tend to work better. I use double cup method for these two orchids, and because the inner cup has drainage hole, so the outer cup becomes a container, sometimes a saucer, and if I want to soak these 2 orchids, then it's very easy. I just need to fill up the water until the right level is reached, and then let it soak for a while, and that could mean 20 minutes, 30 minutes, whenever, and then drain it out completely by taking out the inner cup. And because the drainage holes at the bottom can easily drain out all the water, so it's very convenient, and it's then it becomes the traditional setup where drainage holes at the bottom. It's quite good. It's working out really well for these this orchid type. I do sometimes purposely leave some water at the bottom of the cup to kind of convert it back to semi-hydro. If I see this orchid does need a little bit more water, then I will make sure that this orchid has some excess water at the bottom, which the roots that have grown outside of the inner cup through drainage hole can be the one to absorb all that excess water at the bottom. But usually 5 days after the watering day, I do come back and check on these 2 orchids just to make sure that the water is pretty much gone, because if it's not, I will dump out the water, because like I said earlier, remember, these 2 orchids root don't seem to like too much moisture for too long, so you do kind of have to sometimes strike that balance. The fragrance of this orchid is that very powdery sweet fragrance. It's not very citrusy, and it's not a strong scent, but when you put your nose close enough to the flower, you can definitely smell the sweet fragrance, but it's the powdery sweetness. It's pleasant enough that I enjoy the fragrance, but I do have to get pretty close to it. It's not like I can stand 3-5 feet away from it and still be able to smell the fragrance easily. It's not like that. And here you can see this orchid is growing such awesome roots inside the medium, so I'm really thankful that it's doing so well, because gosh, who doesn't love a good tetraspis C1 with random red and white color distribution on the flower, petals, and sepals, right? Do you have one in your collection? How does your tetraspis C1 do under your care? Let us know, will you? This is all I have for you today. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you would like to get more orchid related videos from my channel, please subscribe and turn on the notification. I want to wish you happy growing, and I will talk to you in my next video. Ciao!